hit a major setback. Good morning. Well, this is our Q7 and that I bought off of Copart about 1 or 2 weeks ago.
I thought this thing was gonna go for $6,000.
It hit a deer. Initially, I thought I only have to replace the headlight, hood, and fender. Turned out I have to do a little more. I already replaced one of these radiators. In the previous video, I repaired the bumper. I removed the radiator support. We received this guy. Luckily, this wasn't very expensive. I really thought this was gonna be a big expense, but I managed to find one of these on eBay for 230 bucks. It was discounted. Usually they're like 330, which still isn't too bad. In the past, I have paid over $700 for a radiator support. That was for a B7 S4. And that had to be shipped from Lithuania because I could not find one of these for that car anywhere stateside. Looking at these two guys in comparison side by side, the main issue was that, first of all, it's a little bent right over here, which I obviously could kind of bend back. The main issue was that we were missing a lot of mounts for the radiator. We were missing mounts for the headlights. So the problem is that we had to remove this fender because this was probably the most damaged part, as well as we have to replace the hood because this is a little beyond my capability of repairing. You might have already noticed I have another hood right there. You might have also noticed that it's silver and not, I can't remember, some kind of gray. And here's our new fender, which does not match the color. It looks very close, but it's not the same. We have two parts that have to be repainted. As I found out after talking to a body shop, we are gonna save ourselves some money as well as some time if we just bring them, the fender and the hood, to the shop to get it sprayed instead of bringing the whole car. They quoted me approximately 900 bucks, which is a lot. Unfortunate, but we don't have a choice. Of course, I could paint it, but in the past I've done it and I just can't do it on a car that's worth $10,000. I would only do the paint work myself if it was a very low value car, like I did with the B5 A4 in one of my previous videos, which did not turn out great, but it was okay for a $2,000 car. As you can see, there was some cracking. There is still cracking, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. I did plastic weld the inside, and at least now it's relatively structurally sound, and all we really need is to just give it some paint to kind of cover this up, and I think we'll be okay. I also have to fix some misfires. Okay, that was pretty quick. We have the two bigger holes where the actual pins go into, and then there's two holes per pin, and that's where the release tabs are. So I'm just gonna insert one on each side. There it is. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Had to apply some decent pressure to it. When we put in those two little tools, it basically just pushes down on these clips that hold these pins on each side. And once those get pushed in, this thing is able to slide out. Something I think is pretty cool about this radiator support and the way it's mounted is the way it's mounted. I might be the only person in the world who thinks so, but I've never seen this on any car before, including all the Audis I've worked on. So this does just get bolted down, and once that's bolted down, the crash bar goes on top, and as you can see, this radiator support has some slits in here, and these two brackets will just slide into these rubber bushings over here, and that's it. I was so glad to see that, because I really did not want to have to drain all the fluids. Step one of having a successful shop or car business is to keep your area clean. As you can see, there's a reason why I'm not successful. This bracket slides into that bushing that I just showed you, where I was spraying the WD-40. And then this plastic clip slides onto this bracket once it's already installed and the bushing is in here. It slides on, and then this spring clip holds it down in place. What's really hard is that this has to happen on both sides simultaneously. We're pretty much lined up with that bracket. On both sides, we're currently lined up. So it is a matter of just pushing it all in, which is much easier said than done because things do not want to cooperate. I'm gonna throw in a bolt on each side because I'd hate to have to line this up again. This was very hard. Okay, not gonna lie, this Q7 is kicking my ass. Those two mounts that I thought were so great that kept me from having to drain all the fluids have been giving me such a hard time. It has been very, very hard to get the clips on. Those two plastic metal clips, plastic with a metal spring on it. Those two clips have been incredibly hard to put on. As you can see, this is like as far as it'll possibly go, but I can't seem to get it far enough to be able to get the metal spring on. It just not cooperating. And to make matters worse, every time I mess up and that spring pops out, best case scenario, it falls down here, but most likely what happens is that it gets stuck somewhere behind the radiator. It needs to be sitting in a very specific angle where both of those little teeth can stick out where this clip can fit inside of. And finally, this clip is in, that clip is in. I know you didn't see that, but take my word for it. I'd say those two clips alone took me probably 2 to 3 hours. It was just a combination of using a pry bar to kind of shove the radiator into that bracket. So that is finally behind us. There's one thing I should really do, and I just kind of really don't want to, and that is prep that hood and fender for paint, as in I need to sand them down, get rid of, basically smooth it out. I think I should plastic weld this piece though. I can't seem to find the vent tube inlet on this headlight. As I was installing this driver's side headlight, I realized that I've hit a major setback. I have to wait for a part to get delivered from China, and that's gonna take about 3 weeks. The part in question is the headlight mount. Something I did not realize is that this new used headlight, there's probably a reason why this was $80 instead of $300 versus all the other listings on eBay. And that is because it's missing the mount. It's kind of odd. I didn't really anticipate this, but as it turns out, these headlights come with this goofy mount, pieces of which I'm holding here. You can sort of kind of see it on this. You will notice that these two headlights look a little different. See this here? Obviously right here is a whole headlight. There's nothing broken off. It's all in one piece. I was putting this in and I realized I don't have any of the mounts. I have nowhere to bolt it up to. All I saw was this. That would be because what I have is this part here, but not this, which actually attaches to the body of the car and apparently holds the headlight with these tabs. I actually tried to pull the headlight out and I was not successful. But there's this clip that you're supposed to pull out, and there's this tab, and potentially there's other mounts, and that will allow you to slide this whole headlight out while all the mounts are still in place. I assume this is in order to make it easier for people to change light bulbs and stuff like that. You don't have to take off the bumper. The problem is that for some reason that headlight didn't come with that, and obviously I cannot reuse this piece that came on the car. There are used mounts sold on eBay from part outs, and they're $140. However, China, God bless China, makes brand new ones and sells them for $40. I could not bring myself to spend $100 for a couple of weeks of my time, and I would rather just save some money and wait for that part to get delivered. I am gonna be waiting for the paint shop to paint these parts. I am gonna be waiting for the title to come in. I impulsively decided to take it for a drive. The only thing we currently have on the dash is the turn signal warning, because those are mounted to the bumper And with the bumper off, obviously that's not gonna work. You do have to work off some rust from the brake rotors. Outside of that, she's driving like a champ. Floor it. Well, no, I'm not gonna floor it, but I gave it like 40% throttle and she did perfectly fine. All of those misfires have gone away, and mechanically this car seems to be perfectly sound, which is very, very nice, because it means that all you have to worry about is all this body stuff.